FIFA and the International Football Association Board, the IFAB, have concluded on some set of rules that are going to change the game. And that is going to start in the 2026 World Cup. Yes, effectively, 2026 World Cup. So I don't want you, any of you out there, to be watching the game and you're seeing sudden decisions and you're like, what is going on here? Okay, so bear with me. This is going to be in parts. This is the first one. And FIFA is really frowning on time wasting. And we all know that is unsportsmanlike. Okay. FIFA wants to make sure there's gamesmanship. So they're trying to keep the flow of the game and make it more entertaining for the fans. So the first thing here I want to talk about is time wasting. Yes. So there's going to be the 5-second rule. So if you have a throw and you refuse to start the play within 5 seconds to throw the ball back in, to restart the game, then your opponent is going to take possession. So the throw is going to be awarded to them. If you have a goal kick and you take more than 5 seconds to get your kick to restart the game, then the opponent is going to be awarded a corner. There is the 10-second rule change as well that has to do with substitutions. So when your number goes up, you have exactly 10 seconds to leave the field of play. Now, you can do so by exiting through the touchline or through the goal line. Wherever that is closest to you, that is what you need to use. If you refuse to do so, the game is going to patiently wait for you to do that. But your player that should be coming on is going to wait for at least 1 minute. At least 1 minute. However, though, if the play is still going on, your teammate is going to continue to wait until the play comes to a stop. So meaning you're going to be playing a man down. Now, goalkeepers, we all know, they are the only ones that could stop the game completely. And sometimes we have seen goalkeepers do that as, to allow their teams to go to their benches and get some tactical advice. So now FIFA is saying if the game is stopped because the goalkeeper is receiving treatment or some medical attention, players are banned from going anywhere closer to their benches because they don't want them to get any tactical information. There's not going to be any tactical briefing. So every player will stay wherever you are as long as you're away from the bench, or you can just move to the center of the pitch. Period. The last one is the compulsory 1 minute medical wait. Because we know players can fake injuries. So when you do that and then you receive medical attention on the pitch of play, you're going to leave. When you leave, you're going to wait for at least a minute for you to get back in a game, except if the injury resulted from a yellow card or a red card being issued in that particular situation. So this is all we have for time wasting, and I love each and every one of them. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Here is part 2 of the rule changes by FIFA and the IFAB ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Now, in case you have not seen part 1, do not worry, just check my bio. Now, if you are one of those guys out there that were saying the game doesn't need VR, well, let me bust your bubble, because this set of rules have just expanded the mandate of the VAR. Okay? That is where we are. Initially, if there's a clear and obvious error with regards to sending off offense, then VAR will intervene. Well, now, if a second yellow card is given and it is wrongly given, VAR is going to step in and say, hey, I think there's a problem here. So they're going to step in to correct that decision. However, though, if a player is already on a yellow card and they feel like that is a yellow card offense, they cannot really say anything to the referee. Now, that is confusing. It is baffling. I don't know the reason why that is, but it just doesn't kind of make sense to me, because if VAR is looking at a play and they think that should be a yellow card offense and that should be the second yellow, then why not? They have to let the ref know. But for some reason, I don't know why that is the case. Another instance where VAR can also step in is if a corner kick is wrongly awarded to a team, but they have to do that as fast as possible. So if the on-field referee in error awarded a corner, VAR will say, no, it shouldn't be a corner, it should be a goal kick. Another area where they could step in is to assist the on-field referee to correct identity. There are times when the referee will just issue the yellow card to the wrong player. So VAR can now step in and say, no, that is not the player that should be given a yellow card, or that is not the player that should be given a red card. The last of it all, I think everyone is fed up and frustrated with Corner FC or FC Corner. I'm not going to name the football club, but if you know, you know. Okay? So now, before the restart, if there is any attacking foul, VAR is going to step in and tell the referee exactly what happened and ask the referee to penalize whoever the attacking player is. So that is the mandate that have been expanded for VAR. Let me squeeze in what is called players' welfare, right? Because in this World Cup 2026 in Mexico, Canada, and the US, is going to be really, really warm. So I think there is going to be a mandatory 3 minutes break in each half where the players will have to cool off and relax a little bit. So expect that to happen. Another one is during international friendlies. Normally there used to be 6 substitutions, but now it has gone up to 8. And in fact, there is a potential, right? If both teams can agree, they can go as far as to change 11 players, which is very, very good. Hang tight. I'm going to go to the next part. That is going to be the part 3. And that is what I'm going to wrap it up. That has to do with discipline. That is going to be the fun part. Look out for that. Do not miss it. This is the final part of the rule change ahead of the 2026 World Cup that has to do with discipline. And this specifically is a result of 2 separate incidents, okay? One has to do with the AFCON 2025 final between Morocco versus Senegal. If you remember, Senegal walked up the pitch in that final for about 14-15 minutes, and they came back in and finished the match. But however, FIFA has said, if a player walked off the pitch in protest against a referee decision, that player is going to be sent off with a straight red card. You are leaving the game. Now, if it has to do with a coach or any other official on the bench that instigates a protest against a referee decision, that also is a straight red card. You are going to leave. Now, as a team, if they abandon the match in protest, then they will forfeit the game altogether. Now, the second situation has to do with Vini Jr. and Prestiani. Remember, Vini Jr. alleged that he was racially abused by Prestiani, but there was no conclusive evidence because Prestiani covered his mouth with his shirt or his jersey. So now the law is you cannot cover your mouth, not with your hand, not with your arm, not with your shirt or jersey. If you do that, it is going to be a straight red card in a heated or confrontational exchange. Now, that is where I have a problem. What is heated and confrontational exchange is subjective to the interpretation of the referee, but that is not the point because a player can walk to another player calmly and then said something very, very hurtful or something very, very bad. It could be discriminatory or not, right? But the point I'm making is if you cannot tell this is heated or this is a confrontational exchange, then it is hard for you to ascertain what was said or not, right? So I think it should have just been you cannot just cover your mouth and then speak to your opponent. However, though, you can do so if you want to have a casual conversation with your teammates. It's not a problem at all. Now, finally, if you have been following the game, referees normally call the captains of both teams and speak to them to justify officiating decisions, whether it is the on-field or whether it is the VAR decision, right? We have been seeing that a lot. So now going forward, if you are not a captain, you cannot just walk up to the referee and try to have a conversation arguing the referee decision. That is going to be a straight yellow. So that brings me to the end of all the recent rule changes ahead of the 2026 World Cup. Let me know what you think, what you agree with, and what you would have hoped, right, to be part of this rule change. For me, I think the handball, or even the offside should have been, clarified a lot better.